Welcome to the Emotional Horsemanship podcast. I am your host, Lockie Phillips, and I help deeply caring equestrians create emotionally balanced horses with science, empathy, and feel. This podcast is a safe place for anyone who desires a better future for horses and for the equestrian lifestyle. I hope that you will enjoy these solo and collaborative episodes where we enjoy a deep insight into our horses' worlds and ways in which we can make that better for them. If you love horses and are willing to do right by them, you're going to love this podcast. And I thank you for being here. Hello. How are you? I'm fine. Thanks, and you? That's how season 1 of this podcast began. Gently saying hello. How are you? I'm fine, thanks. Are you? And then actually exploring the authentic answer that might follow. Not giving an auto response, an autopilot response, but actually exploring the truth around a question such as, how are you? And saying hello like you meant it. That's how this podcast began, because that's how I meant it. I wanted to say hello like I meant it, and then give you an honest answer that followed. And I think as far as season 1 goes, we've been successful at being authentic and successful at being welcoming, even though it's difficult for me sometimes to be welcoming. Now, it's just me today. I know I've technically finished season 1, and I have finished season 1, but this podcast here is just me to say goodbye for the year, just goodbye for now, and to sum up the year and to just sit with you quietly over the holiday season and sit in your ear. If you're listening to this during the holiday season of 2024, if you're listening to this at some point in the future, hello also, but just something to sit with together as a group and consider a sum up for the year. What a year it's been. It's been a slice, guys. The economy of the world is a dumpster fire right now. We've had worse times, right? We've had worse. We've survived worse, but things aren't looking easy. The financial future of many of us is uncertain. And it's at times like this we can feel afraid. It's at times like this doing things such as investing in your education can feel dangerous. And I certainly know what that feels like. And though in my work, in my business, we have to charge what it costs us to deliver services, we are also working really hard to explore affordable options as much as we can, so that the people who want education and support can get education and support in a way that still enables us to keep our doors open through a very, very uncertain time. So what I can promise is that you can predict in 2025, we will have options available for people to come and get time with me and my team in service, in support, and in assistance of your horsemanship in a way that is affordable. We have to make some dispensations so that it is affordable for you. What we can't give is private services in a way that's affordable for everyone. We just can't do that, because I have to run my business like a business. I can't run my business like a charity. And costs have gone up for everyone. But I have to nod to the economy and what it's doing for many of us in terms of allowing us or not to be partnered with people we want to partner with. It's tricky and annoying, because if I could do this work for free, I would. If I never had to work again, I would wake up tomorrow and I would do exactly what I'm doing now. But I'm not that. And so we often form personal relationships to people we serve, and then the economy changes and it's not possible to be able to stay in service to them. And that's really hard for me. But that won't be true for everyone. And like I said, we're creating landing pads for people at an economical rate so that you can continue with us next year. We're working very, very hard on that. I also want to talk about social media just for a hot second because my business, my work is driven through social media. And social media is word of mouth for the 21st century. People say, well, my business is all word of mouth. Well, so is mine. It's just done on social media to an international community rather than, whispers at the local supermarket. But we have an issue with social media. It's almost like people have been given a power that they didn't know how to use well. And when I say well, I mean kindly, responsibly, with decorum and with respect. Now, this isn't painting everyone with the same brush. And I have to mention the vast majority of my interactions online with the vast majority of people are superb and really something that I can count on as being positive, constructive, interesting, creative, lovely, kind, and respectful. I'm actually really spoiled with the quality of personality that is attracted to my business and to my work. We are very, very blessed to know you. But at the same time, the universe doesn't give with two hands. And sometimes social media feels like anti-social media. Sometimes social media feels like para-social media. Parasocial meaning I put out a lot of content, volumes and volumes of content, podcasts, courses, etc., etc. And a lot of you will sit and listen to me. And because I'm very open and I'm as honest as I can be, a lot of you will feel like I'm your friend, like you're developing a relationship to me, like you know me, because I'm putting myself out there so that you can know me. But then I don't know you. And we need to remember that when you're making contact with me. I don't know you. You might be hearing me. I'm not hearing you. And so that's parasocial. The relationship is unbalanced because you know me based upon what I'm putting out in the world, but I don't know you. And often we get confused. The confusion is, oh, Lockie's my friend, so I will speak with him in a familiar way. Just the other day, I had someone write to me a direct personal message talking about penises and erections in horses. And I said, okay, I appreciate that you thought that was interesting for me to hear, but it's an inappropriate message to be sending me. I don't know you. They're like, oh, well, you're a public person. You put out stuff. I thought you'd be interested in hearing this. I said, no, I'm not a public person. I'm a business owner. And I'm a business owner who's also a private person and a private human being. They didn't like me saying this, and I'm sure they've probably already stopped listening to the podcast and buggered off somewhere else. But I'm allowed to set boundaries for the kind of interactions I want to experience. My direct personal messages on my social media is a place where I communicate with my boyfriend, my family, and my team. It's not a place I go to for parasocial interactions with people I don't know. And at this stage of my life, because of how much I work, I can count on two hands the close people in my circle who are social with me outside of a business setting. I need us all to remember that whatever I'm putting out, including this podcast you're listening to right now, is not a social invitation. This is not a social invitation. This is business. Business, because I am a working human being. I'm working class, just like you. I am not a celebrity. I am not an influencer. If anything, I'm an anti-influencer. I spend a lot of energy trying to get people out of my energy because I don't want to be influencing you. I want you to influence yourself. I want you to have influence over yourself. I don't want to influence you. You see, I make my business available because I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, and I'm a horseman and a horse trainer. I'm not a political figure running for office. I am not a public figure that takes on social justice issues. I take on horse justice issues as a horse trainer and educator. Aside from that, I'm also a private person behind my work. But what you're listening to right now, this podcast recording, just like my courses, just like my services, I am spending time delivering a business right now in exchange for me living my life. I'm sitting here recording this, whereas I could be outside with my friends, with my family, with my horses. I'm not. I'm sitting here as a business exercise because I work for a living. So I need us to remember that though I'm being honest, authentic, and open with you, that it is business. And I'm being open, honest, and authentic with you because I want you to know that you can trust me and my business. I want you to know who I am and who I am not, so that you can decide if I am an educator for you or not, so that you can decide if I am someone who might be able to help you or not with your horses. That's what this is all for. And I take on plenty of big, big issues, but the issues are always associated with the horse training and horsemanship industry because that is my profession. That is my business. Anything else is not my business. So, as I said, the vast majority of my interactions online are exceptional, really, really exceptional. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for another fabulous year of deeply respectful, mutual, interesting, engaging, creative, successful communication through vastly, predominantly online modalities and digital technology based modalities, also in person through clinics, etc., and retreats, but mostly online. I want to thank you, all of you who made effort to adhere to sensible boundaries so that I can continue serving you and also feel protected in my work, feel safe in my work. I want to thank all of you for being so respectful of my energy and my time. Every now and then we meet someone who is not. And when that someone is not, it is my place and my right to communicate that that is not it. That is not it. Okay. And thank you for not doing that to me, with me. If you're ever worried about transgressing there, oh, I don't want to write Lockie because I'm afraid to do something X, Y, Z. If that's what you're thinking, I want you to know that's exactly correct. And because you're thinking that, you are now safe to contact me because you are aware. You are aware. Yes, it's the people who are making problems here are usually not aware they're making problems. If you're aware that there's a potential for a problem to be there, then we're all good. I think this is important to talk about. And let me speak for a second to other business owners out there. You're allowed to protect your energy. Your business is your home. Your business is your space. And what comes into your home, what comes into your space is allowed to be important to you. And you're allowed to be discerning. You're allowed to say yes to this and no to that. We are not a McDonald's where anyone can walk in and order a Big Mac because it's a McDonald's. We are not franchises. We are private businesses. We are individual service providers. We are not franchises. We are not politicians who are supposed to represent communities, and the community has a right to vote and say to someone, we like this personality, we don't like that personality. If you don't like a business, there'll be another business to suit your needs. But what you can't do is go to a business that doesn't suit your needs and ask them to suit your needs. That's not what we're doing, you see? So we are supposed to respect our community, and the community is supposed to respect us. My mum was a fantastic businesswoman before she retired young. She grew Australia's largest bridal jewelry business in the 90s and noughties and then sold that business. She has coached me a lot. And she said, Lockie, in business, two sides have to perform. The client has to perform and you have to perform. She had a brick and mortar business. So people actually had to come into her store, look at the things, have an idea of what they wanted, and then we could serve them. They couldn't stand out on the street and demand service. Or if they walked into the shop, they couldn't say, well, I don't like that you've painted the showroom purple. Can you paint it yellow for me before I shop with you? She says, no, it's painted purple because that's what we wanted it, you see? And that's a little bit trickier to manage when we're dealing with digital services, online businesses, because the parameters are less visually clear and tangible to us. So, not for me though. Social graces, decorum, communication, and also authenticity are as tangible to me as a brick and mortar shop. And so that's become really important to me this year as I've matured in my work, and as I spend, frankly, most of my life working. I wake up in the morning, I go to work until I have no energy, and then I go to bed. Too much so. And I'll speak about that maybe a little later today, but sort of reclaiming my time a little bit for 2025. And yeah, what can I say? Entrepreneurship is hard, guys. It's hard. And I'm telling you all the things from behind the curtain that business owners maybe don't want you to know about. Business owners, equestrian service providers don't want you to know about because they don't want to turn you off. They don't want to turn you away. I don't necessarily want to turn you off or turn you away unless that is the right decision for you. And you won't know if that's the right decision for you if I'm not honest with you. And so by being honest with you, I'm able to make sure the people who are right for me and my work stay with me and my work, and the people who are not right for me and my work don't. I had a interaction in October this year that was really interesting, and I'll spare you all of the details. But in a nutshell, this person a year ago cancelled me. Remember the podcast episode I did called Canceling Cancel Culture? Well, that podcast episode I did earlier this year was actually inspired largely by my interactions with this person. This person was a colleague, was past tense, because they liked me until I said something authentic in terms of the information and authentically true to my nature, my character, my personality that they didn't like. And then they canceled me. And I think that's toxic to cancel someone because it says you don't exist for me now because you're not for me. So now you don't exist. There are plenty of people that I don't align with, but I'm not trying to cancel them. Anyway, this person got in touch a year later after they canceled me. And in a nutshell said, I would like your help with a horse. Because I think you're the best person to help me. And I was really confused because I thought, hang on a minute, last time I spoke to you, you were in the middle of canceling me. And I reminded them of the situation and they said, oh no, I liked your information. I just didn't like your tone. And I said, oh, I thought to myself, oh gosh, they're digging a deeper hole for themselves here. And my response to that is, and I say this to other service providers, and I say this openly and honestly, you don't get to tone police me and then want my help. You just don't. You don't get to say, I want your information, but I don't want your personality. Because my information comes through my personality. And listen, it is not new information for me that I have a very particular character that a lot of people dislike. That is not new information for me. Go backwards to 1995 when I first entered school and I discovered that I had a personality that some people didn't like, even if it was my teacher. That is not new information for me. And yet here I am, 30 years later, I'm still myself and I'm going to continue being myself. And a lot of people jive with me and a lot of people don't. And I jive with some people and I don't jive with others. That doesn't mean I'm trying to change them so that I can use them. I'm not entitled to that. And no one's entitled to that from me. It was a strange interaction and I really didn't enjoy the interaction. It was really scary for me to advocate for myself and say, no, I will not change for you so that you can use me. I will not mask around you so that you can benefit from my information. I can only be myself. And if I'm not for you, then I'm not for you. But you don't get to want me and change me at the same time. That's not how it works. And I tried to be as respectful as I can, but I'm sure they found me rude in some manner or with the wrong tone or something. I don't know. But and they also tried to say, well, I've been listening to the podcast and I'm an avid listener, as if that made it better that they were asking me to change. I don't know. It's a strange thing being up here, being both a private person who's put myself in the public. And let me speak to this. A lot of people think that because you're a public person and because you have a certain number of social media followers, that therefore, it's all bets are off. And it's basically Lord of the Flies. Like they can do whatever, they can entitle themselves to any sort of access to you. It's not true. It's just not true. Again, I'm not a politician. I'm a horse trainer. I'm not running for public office. I'm a horse trainer. I'm an educator and I put stuff out so that people know I exist in the world because I'm talking about the work that I do and how I am when I do it, you know? And if that's gained traction, I'm glad. I could have gained a lot more traction if I was wearing masks. I could have gained a lot more traction if I wasn't so authentic about who I am, warts and all. I could have gained a lot more traction if I was in a constant fawn response to the community, trying to be nice, nice, nice to everyone. I could have gained a lot more traction because sometimes I'll put stuff out there that loses me followers, and that's correct. That's an attrition rate that should be present because I'm trying to be myself. I'm not trying to be something for everybody. You see, and that's really scary as someone who's survived poverty, and someone who could find myself in poverty in the future if I don't play my cards right. It's a really scary thing when you're not on a salary and you are working for yourself. It can be really scary. Tina Fey, the comedian, actress, writer, screenwriter, Tina Fey, said on a podcast recently, authenticity and honesty is dangerous and expensive. If you have a problem with something and you've got a certain level of public exposure, shh, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. And she was doing it as a joke, but she was also deadly serious. Certain level of public exposure, you can't really be honest or authentic anymore. And I'm starting to feel those walls close in around me, and I don't like it. So, what I've created for 2025 is ways for me to continue being honest and authentic in a way that is still safe, because the larger your public exposure, the more unsafe people are likely to cross your path. And so I've created small spaces for only the best clients that I'm really confident not only are doing the work, but are really comfortable with me as well, that I'm really confident are comfortable with me. And I've invited them into very intimate containers of study and support for next year. And I'm really looking forward to doing that, because there I'm able to be absolutely, absolutely, absolutely myself. And I already have been with these people, and I'm just creating containers for that to continue. Because I think what we're talking about here with social media, anti social media, para social media, and my diatribe around it, I think what we're talking about here is the evolution of decorum back into our community. People think, oh, it's online, so it doesn't count. Not true. Not even the science supports that. Science can't tell the difference of the reaction in the brain between an imagined response and a real life response. The brain activity is the same. If you insult someone online, it's the same as a slap in the face in person. It really is. The brain, the neurological activity is the same. And so what we need to do is to evolve ourselves so that we can start bringing social decorum back into online spaces. And I'm really committed to doing that. So, having said all of that, I'm really trying to walk my talk as much as I can about knowing my worth, practicing what I pontificate. I know I do. I know I'm insufferable. Listen, I'm the first one to know that I'm insufferable. I'm aware. Thank you. I'm aware. I'm aware. So I'm really trying to walk my talk, both in how I keep my horses, how I train them, how I work with people, and how I show up in the world. And I'm making a vow to continue that into 2025. However, I'm taking a break. If you're listening to this, I'm probably already on break. I'm having a staycation at home, and there will come a date soon before the end of 2024 when I will go onto my phone and remove my social media apps from my phone and keep only what is necessary for urgent communication with my team or my family on my phone. And that is it. And I will turn off my computer and I will step out of the office and I will go touch grass and breathe fresh air and rest and rest and rest and spend time doing stuff that is none of anyone else's business, because I've earned it and I need it. And it's important to answer the call of winter to go in and hibernate. And I'm going to hibernate for at least a month, because either side of that month, there's administration that has to happen to tie that all off. And then when I begin work on the 1st of February, 2025, there's administration that has to begin at least 2 weeks before I begin work. So it's like a 2-week off ramp and then a 2-week on ramp. And in the middle, I'm going to get a month of clear schedule. And maybe I'll tell you what I did with that time. Maybe I won't. I'll make that decision later. So I just want you to know that I'm taking that break because it kind of sounds like I need it, right, guys? Sounds like I need it. And I know I do. I know I do. So shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk about some predictions for 2025 about horsemanship and horse training. What are going to be what are going to be the trends in training now? What's coming next? I really feel that there's going to be a lot of deep learning and a lot of innovation in 2025. I think my rest period's going to be crucial for that. But some of the people who are lining up to collaborate with me and my team next year are just incredible horse people, just incredible, gifted, talented, hardworking, honest, loving horse people. And we are fixing to go real deep and start innovating even more than we already have. I think I've only scratched the surface of what's possible with emotional horsemanship, and what some of our horses in our program lately, both mine and my clients' horses, have been doing lately has been really, really exciting. The sort of stuff that starts coming to the surface, all this stuff that in the past felt like magic and unattainable or fluff, somehow starts to feel technical, predictable, precise, and explainable now. And I'm predicting that trend is going to continue into 2025. And there are things that are going to occur that I don't even know yet are going to occur. But when they do, I'm ready. I'm waiting. I'm on the lookout for that fortune. I'm on the lookout for that fortune. Not financial fortune. I'm saying horsemanship fortune. I'm on the lookout for it because I can smell it in the wind, if that makes sense. I'm also predicting I will have a lot more time with my own horses, which is going to be really important for me and for them, for the community too. I'm also sensing from our community that play and upregulation is going to be a big trend because that's already occurring. I've sort of developed I hate this word, let me say this word with my tongue in my cheek and, suffocating a retch response. But brand, my brand has developed around down regulation, care, and relaxation. And even some of my colleagues think that I'm one-dimensional about that. And that's all I'm training because that's what they typically see at clinics, etc. But in a clinic setting, that's usually what most horses need. And a lot of the horses who come to me usually have an urge and need a requirement for that. But a lot of our clients who are in long-term support, once you've established that foundation, they get released to an upward spiral. And in the upward spiral, there's upregulation, there's excitement, there's play, there's exploration. And I'm expecting that that's going to be a big trend for 2025. More high energy work, more work with greater impulsion, greater effort physically from the horses. I'm predicting that's going to be a big trend next year. And I'm going to even be pushing some of my clients to really look at that as a subject. I'm also predicting another wave of focus on environments and horsekeeping standards. I think, again, we're only scratching the surface internationally about horsekeeping standards, especially in countries outside of countries such as Australia, where space is easy to get, Europe, North America, and also culturally. It's not been typical to give horses space. I mean, every time I have new people come to my farm and they see the horses roaming, they're like, the horses are out all the time. I say, yeah. I had someone come to my farm the other day who grew up in a horse family. He's not with horses now, but that was the family business, and came over and he said, the horses are out all the time. I said, yes. He said, wow, things have really changed. He said, when I was a kid, the horses were always in, but it's changing now. People are keeping the horses out. See, he's not in the business anymore, but he's got his finger on the pulse of it because it's the family business. And even he knows that the tide is turning and people are realizing that confinement is not the thing anymore. Many people won't, but dinosaurs are going to die. That's always what's going to happen. So I'm predicting that's going to be another big surge next year. And I think we're going to be walking away from brutalism in the industry. But instead of walking away from brutalism with a tear in our eye, with our shoulders bowed, with a chip on our shoulder, and with anger and frustration, instead of walking away from that, I'm seeing more and more people walk away from brutalism with like almost confusion. They're like, you're still doing that to horses? Ew, that's so not cool. They're like, oh, you're still like beating horses up and forcing them or manipulating them somehow. You're still doing that? Oh, okay. Yeah, good for you. That's not cool. And I'm seeing more people kind of walk away from it with grace, but also humor and levity. They're just like, it's not a big deal that you're doing that, but that's kind of gross and icky. You're still doing that? You don't know that that's not cool? Okay. I'm seeing that kind of movement. And I think that's a good trend because for too long, people like us, people who aren't doing that brutal stuff to horses, we've walked away from brutality with our shoulders bowed, with our head down, downcast, feeling like ashamed for not being brutal to horses. Let me say this. We have felt ashamed for not being brutal to horses. Can you hear how insane that sounds? And it's high time we walk away from it with complete confidence that we're in the right and complete confidence that it is wackadoodle. It is wackadoodle to be brutal to horses. That is insanity. You want to be brutal to a half-ton flight animal with rocks for feet? Good luck. How about enjoying your life? How about being good to the vulnerable? Like, it's so old. It's so tired. It's so played out. Like, just stop it. And like, we're not telling everyone to stop it. If you want to go for it, have at it. I'm pretty confident most horses are going to protect themselves against you. I wish their horses weren't there. And there's the whole notion of, wanting to save the horses. I get all of that. But we have spent too much time with our Superman cape on and lifting the heavy burdens and responsibilities of other people. It's about time we just walked away from brutalism, cut ties, kind of sort of a dark humor about walking away from it, and just completely energetically cleanse and focus on something else. What's coming next? I'm also predicting along that same vein that dead end anxiety is out. When I say dead end anxiety, I'm not speaking about being insecure. I'm not speaking about having a concern. I'm not speaking about predicting a problem, which I think is all very helpful. What I'm speaking about is circuitous, repetitive, dead end anxiety that it doesn't matter what a friend, a coach, a lover, a parent, or a horse says to you, you keep circling back to your anxieties. And it's sort of like at some point, I wonder if someone's getting a high out of their anxiety and it's like serving a need for them somehow. I really think that kind of anxiety is out. It's again tired, it's played out. There's a good reason for it to be there. I'm not pathologizing that, but I'm also not a mental health care professional. And emotional horsemanship is not a container for mental health counseling. It's a horsemanship coaching service and it's a methodology of training. But dead end anxiety as a tool in horsemanship, I think is on its way out. I don't think it's ever helped anyone. It's been an interesting thing for us to play with for a while because I think what it has done is pump everyone's brakes and get everyone to consider the horse more. And I think that's been really good. But now it's time that we circle out of that, circling out of our triggers, circling out of our victimhood and start to find things such as empowerment, such as confidence, such as decisiveness, such as discernment, such as acceptance of our gifts, such as a willingness to look at our faults, such as radical, fundamental learning capabilities, meaning looking at what's less optimal and optimizing it without any shame story, without any dead end circuitous anxiety, without any of that stuff. I think that's all very on its way out. We, of course, will hold space for people who are still playing with that. But I want you to know you're playing with a lead pipe. It's kind of going to take you nowhere. And if you hold it long enough, it's toxic for you. So come over here where your dead end anxiety can turn into concern that is also functional. It can turn into awareness of potential issues, which keeps you safe. It can turn into discernment, which allows you to actually make decisions rather than stay stuck. Now, having said all this, once I get back to work in February, I'm going to have 2 months at home during my favorite season, which is winter, and the turn of spring, which will begin in March. And then from April, I'm off, and I'm off on a tour, but not just any tour. I'm calling it a world tour because it is a world tour. I know that sounds lofty and self-important, but it's true. It is a world tour because I've booked a one-way ticket all the way around the globe. That doesn't mean I'm going to every country in the world. Of course, I can't. But I'm going from Madrid via the Middle East, stopping overnight. I'm actually spending my birthday in Doha Airport. So that's going to be fun. Because I've got a 20-hour transit on the 3rd of April in Doha Airport, and that's my birthday. So happy birthday to me. You know, I'm turning 35 in Doha Airport. Cool. First world problems. It might be interesting. You never know where life takes you. I'm not complaining about that. I just think that's an atypical way to spend your birthday. So transiting through Doha, then I'm finding myself in Perth. I've never been to Perth. I'm Australian. I've never been to Perth. I've seen a lot of my home state of Victoria. I've seen very little of the rest of Australia. And it's been almost 10 years since I was in Australia. So I have a clinic tour in Australia, Perth. I'll be in South Australia in a place called Koodla. I will be then in Romsey, which is, I believe, northeast of Melbourne. Correct me if I'm wrong, Megan, my host in Melbourne. I will be in Melbourne for a clinic and also to see family briefly. And then I will be in Dorrigo, New South Wales, which I believe I'll be flying into Coffs Harbour. So I'll be in that area in April. So I'm spending all of April in Australia. And then I have a clinic in Wellington, New Zealand. I believe it's on the 3rd of May. I don't hold numbers off the top of my head. I only know numbers if they're written down in front of my face. But it's all on my website on emotionalhorsemanship.com. You can see the dates and all the information. So I've got one clinic. It's a 2-day introductory clinic in Wellington, New Zealand. And then I'm flying not back the way I came, but continuing across the Pacific. And I'll be landing in Arizona. So I've got a clinic in Arizona near Cave Creek. From Cave Creek, I'll be flying into New Mexico, where I've got a clinic with Robin. So excited, Robin, in Taos in New Mexico. From New Mexico, I'm going to Nashville, Tennessee for a clinic with Elizabeth and her community and her family. That will be a very intimate clinic, I feel. I'm looking forward to that. And then I'll be in Maryland. So I'm flying into Washington, D.C., and I have a clinic at Gentle Giant's Draft Horse Rescue, which is a seriously large rescue organization on the East Coast. I've got a clinic with those lovely people in Maryland towards the middle end of May. And my last clinic will be in Boscawen, if I'm saying that correctly, Boscawen, New Hampshire, with Stacey and Christy Foley, my colleague Christy Foley, who I can't wait for you all to meet next year. She'll be on the podcast next year. So then from New Hampshire, I'm flying not back the way I came because I'm closer. If I went across the Atlantic, I'm flying back across the Atlantic, back to Madrid, and then back home again. So it's a one-way ticket, Australia, New Zealand, North America, back home again. I'll be away for 2 months, 7 weeks. And then when I get back home, I will have one retreat at my farm for interested persons who apply, and I accept because I'm doing retreats by application only, meaning I want to make sure it's appropriate for you to be here and you're really going to make the most out of it. And I really want people on my farm who are fluent already with my horses because that's what my horses like. So you can apply for retreats and we'll have a very small, intimate retreat at the beginning of the summer. We're talking June, July, something like this. And then I'll have the summer at home with my services online. Then I'll have a retreat at the end of the summer. And then come the turn of October 2025, I'm planning to return to Canada again because I just got back from Canada this October 2024. And I had the most fabulous 2 clinics in Canada. I think probably my favorite clinics I've ever done were the clinics we just did in Canada. I loved it so much. Canadians are the nicest people in the world. I felt so welcome. I felt like I was really able to help you. I felt really useful and I love feeling useful. So I'm definitely coming back to Canada in October 2025. I'm right now talking about dates with my hosts. We haven't confirmed anything on this date, but by the time you're listening to this, I might already have the dates confirmed, even if they're not published on the website yet. Why don't you write to admin@emotionalhorsemanship.com to Catherine, my beautiful, beautiful, fabulous administrator who is so helpful and changed my life. Love you, Catherine. Write to Catherine and say, even though it's not on the website, look, he said on the podcast he's coming back to Canada October 2025. I want in. If you want to come and participate with your horse, if you want to audit and you want to jump in before we've even put it out, write to Catherine. Say to Catherine it was on the podcast and she'll put you on a list and you'll be first in line. But the clinics I'm doing in Canada next year will be longer clinics. So it won't be a 2-day introductory clinic. I'll be road testing a different clinic format where it's a 5, maybe 6-day experience where it's costing a little bit more per person, but it's less per person per day. It's more economical for me and for you because I'm already there. And we can spread that cost out over a higher value experience where the horses stay for a while. We are less intense each day, but we're able to work over several days and really see the progression. And we're going to have auditors at the beginning and at the end of the process so people can see the before and the after when we're spending more time with the horses. So we can call those clinics, someone else called those residencies. It's, again, a lofty kind of term, but what have you. It's a longer experience. Also, I'm speaking with a clinic host in America for October. So I'll have one Eastern Coast clinic in North America, in United States, next October as well, because it's nearby to Ottawa. So I'll be close to Ottawa in North America. I don't want to say where yet until I've confirmed it. But I was talking about dates with them last night. So looking forward to that. And that means my 2025 is kind of full because once I get back from that program, I'll be running my homecoming program again at the end of 2025 and it all sort of rolls in. So, if you're also interested in potentially having me anywhere in the world for a clinic in 2026, I want you to know that I've already got 3 clinic hosts signed on for 2026. We haven't set any details yet, but they've already been screened. We've had a meeting, they've signed their agreement for the clinic collaboration. And we've already got them lined up. So I'm already taking hosts for 2026. If you'd like to get in touch, we are ready to get in touch with you. And looking forward to something else that's really exciting. Emotional horsemanship is changing and it's growing. I'm so grateful for that. And with that growth, we are creating a custom online platform, a school of our own. Because right now, my website is like a landing page, a brochure. And then if you want a course or the video library, we refer you to other platforms where we have hosted that because I did not have the ability, the time, or the resources to create my own platform. And now we are creating my own platform, and it's going to be more affordable for me to have it on my own platform. And I'm so grateful that I have found the people to help me do that. And we're doing that. So the Emotional Horsemanship online school is going to open in 2025. All the online courses will be in that new place. The entire video library will be optimized, improved, and included in that new place. All of our mentorships and programs will be hosted on that new place. There will be an app associated with it, the Emotional Horsemanship app, with push notifications, with community discussion boards and forums, all off social media. Because remember the beginning of this episode? Yeah, that's why. That's why. That's why we're creating communities off social media so that we can have a safer experience, because there's some drifters on social media that are determined to misuse it. So we want to create spaces for you to really have your community in a way that's really emotionally and logistically safe for you. So we're doing that. It's going to be really exciting. It's really fun. It'll be visually really clean, really easy to navigate. The booking process is going to be optimized. Everything is going to get easier for the clients as they pass through the business. It's pretty easy already, but there are a few annoying things that we have to administrate that we wish we could optimize and we can't with our current system. And we're about to optimize all of that. So please look forward to that in 2025. Look forward to the world tour, Lofty, in 2025. And look forward to season 2 of the Emotional Horsemanship podcast for 2025. I sat down the other night and I was worried and anxious. Again, dead end anxiety. I had some dead end anxiety about not being able to hold your attention for a season 2. I really thought, well, season 1 was great. That felt like a flash in the pan. I got really lucky, I think. But I wasn't confident that I could create a guest list for 2025 that would also be engaging and interesting. And so I thought, we'll put pen to paper. And I wrote down some names of people I'd like for season 2, and also some subjects I want to tackle for season 2 about horsemanship and horse training and the horse training industry. And right off the top of my head, I came up with 35 episodes. So we had 35 episodes this year. So off the top of my head, extemporaneously, I was like, oh, no, I think actually maybe I could fill a season 2. So again, that's my dead end anxiety that I worked my way out of. Yeah. So there'll be some folks that we're having back on the podcast, and there'll be some new folks that I'm going to invite to the podcast, and I think some surprising guests also. I want to thank all my guests for season 1. I mean, there were some great people here, some surprising people here. If you had have told me a year ago that I would have had the opportunity to interview Temple Grandin, I would have said, get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. You're crazy. I mean, that was really a highlight for me. She's a hero. Almost no one has done more for animal welfare than she has. So love that she was there. But I loved all of our guests, so many guests, my friends who've been on, and also people that I was parasocial with that I had the opportunity to get to know more deeply. on the record too. Some of the episodes, I knew of someone, I was associated parasocially with them, but I didn't know them very well. And so the podcast recording is actually me getting to know them and them getting to know me. So I was really, really happy with the first season. I really want to thank you for allowing me to have my voice and not tone policing me. I want to thank you for that. That's not lost on me, that I'm not entitled to that. People can always stop listening if they don't like what we're saying. And I'm sure many people did as well. But I want to thank you for listening if you've stuck with us this far. I'm really grateful for it. And I'm looking forward to expanding it next year. So that's all I have to say. Again, a long-winded diatribe. I know I'm a blowhard, guys. I know. But hopefully it's a helpful tendency. Have a lovely holiday season. Remember, in these holiday seasons, it can be a high stress season for some of us. You don't have to put yourself in positions where you feel obligated this holiday season. If you don't want to be there, don't be there. Take care of yourself this holiday season. Rest. Don't overwork yourself for the holiday season, and don't overexpose yourself for the holiday season either socially, because it can be a really tricky year. I mean, if you think you've had enough therapy, go have Christmas with your family, right? So take care of yourself as you pass through the holiday season, and I will see you on the other side. Bye-bye for now. You've been listening to the Emotional Horsemanship podcast. I am your host, Lockie Phillips, and that was not a guest. That was me on a solid 1 hour diatribe. Well done for surviving it all. If you are listening to this in December of 2024, I have a holiday sale on right now where all of the online courses produced within Emotional Horsemanship are on sale at 25% off. All of them. Please go to emotionalhorsemanship.com for more information and to take advantage of the sale. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.